Hey you guys, it's Mrs. Palmer. I am going to spend a little bit of time and help you with how to do the assignment in ALEKS called Solving Equations with the Variable on Both Sides. Now this is something that we have done a little bit of in Math 7, and this is something that you will do a lot of in Math 8. So I just went ahead and pulled some random questions from ALEKS, and I'm going to go through each of these. Remember that as you go through these, it's a really good idea to have a piece of paper out so you can take notes so that you can use those notes to help you as you complete your assignment. So question number 1 says, solve for x. Notice on this equation, we have 5x on one side equal to 32 plus x on the other side. So in this equation, we have two terms that have the variable x, and they are on opposite sides of the equal sign. So right here is our equal sign, and on the left side of the equal sign, we have the 5x, and on the right side of the equal sign, we have a 1x. And so if we want to solve this equation, the very first thing we need to do is to get these two terms that have the same variable to be on the same side of the equation. Okay? Now, remember that when you're solving an equation, there are a couple of different rules that you have to follow. In order to get rid of something, you have to use opposite operations. And then also, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do the same thing on the other side. Okay. So I'm going to show you two different ways that you can solve this equation right here. Okay, so our first step is to get the 5x and the 1x. We want to get those two terms on the same side of the equation. So I can do it two ways. If I subtract 5x from the left side, that is going to leave me with a 0. And whatever I do on one side, I have to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 5x from the other side. Now, a 1x and a negative 5x is going to give me a negative 4x. And then I still have my 32 on the right side of the equation. And on the left side, when you take a 5x and you minus 5x, you're going to be left with 0. And it's really important that you write that 0 down. Okay, now from here, once you get the two terms that have the same variable to be on the same side of the equation, you should be left with a two-step equation. Okay, so all we have to do to get the x alone here at this point is to subtract 32 from both sides. So negative 32 equals, there's a subtraction sign in front of this 4x, which makes it a negative 4 times by x. So then we would divide by negative 4 on both sides, so x equals 8. Okay, now I could have made another choice in the beginning, and that is I could have subtracted 1x from the right side of the equation. That's going to eliminate the 1x here and leave me with just 32. And if I subtract negative 1x from the right side, I also have to subtract 1x from the left side. That leaves me with 4 times x equals 32. And when you divide by 4, you get x equals 8. Notice that we got the same solution here. Okay? 8 is what makes this equation true. If we take 5 times 8, that is going to be equal to 32 plus 8. 8 is the solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at question number 3 here. Okay, on question number 3, it says solve for u. And we have 6 times u equals 54 minus 3u. So 6 times u equals 54 minus 3u. Now, if we're going to solve this equation where we have the two terms that have the same variable, we have a 6u here and we have a negative 3u here, they're on opposite sides of our equal sign. Notice that our equal sign is right here, and this is the right side of our equal sign, and this is the left side of our equal sign. Okay, so in order to solve this equation, our very first step is to get these two terms that I've circled in red to be on the same side of the equation. And there's two choices that you can make here. You could make either one of these choices. You could subtract 6u from the left side, which leaves you with a 0. And if you subtract 6u from the left side, you have to subtract 6u from the right side. So then you're left with 54 minus 9 times u. Okay? And then to solve from there, this is just a two-step equation. So you would minus 54 from both sides. So negative 54 equals negative 9 times u. And then you would divide by negative 9. So u equals positive 6. So that's one choice you could make. Another choice is you could have chosen to add 3u to the right side of the equation, which means you would then need to add 3u, because this is our right side, this is our left side. You would need to then add 3u to the left side of the equation, which would leave you with 9 times u equals 54. And then when you divide by 9 on both sides, u equals 6. So either way, you get the same answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at another example of solving an equation with the variable on both sides. Let's go ahead and look at number 7 here. It says solve for y. Now notice on this equation, 28 plus 19y equals negative 8 plus 15y. Those are our two terms that have the same variable. And so if we want to solve this equation, our very first step is to get those two terms on the same side of the equation. And there's two choices that you could make here. You could subtract 19y from both sides, or you could subtract 15y from both sides. Okay, so this is my right side, this is my left side. I'm going to make the choice to subtract negative 15y from both sides. The reason that I did that is because that leaves me with a positive 4y, and I feel like that's going to be a little bit easier to work with. Okay? Now, once you have the two terms that have the same variable on the same side of the equation, now you just have a two-step equation, so you solve from there. Remember, when you solve a two-step equation, you always get rid of the term that doesn't have the variable first. So to get rid of the 28, I need to subtract 28. That's what's going to cancel this out and make it a 0. So then I'll be left with 4 times y equals negative 36. And then we need to divide by 4. So y equals negative 9. Negative 9 is what makes this equation true. If you take 28 and you add 19 times negative 9, that is going to be equal to negative 8 plus 15 times negative 9. Negative 9 is what makes this equation true. Okay, let's go ahead and look at an example like question 13. Now you'll notice on question 13, you have a number 4 that's in front of a parentheses, and inside the parentheses you have a u and you have a negative 8. Whenever you are solving an equation, your very first step is to simplify the equation. You want to simplify the left side, so if there's anything to distribute, or if there are any terms to combine, if there are any like terms, you go ahead and simplify first. And then, after you've done that, you get the two terms that have the same variable on the same side. And then you solve the two-step equation that you have left. Okay? So on number 13, our very first step is to simplify. And on the left side, there is nothing to simplify. So we're going to leave that as negative 14. On the right side, we need to distribute this 4 to both of the terms inside the parentheses. So 4 times u is 4u. 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. And then I still have a negative 7u. So on the right side of the equation, we are not done simplifying. 4u and negative 7u are like terms. They both have a u to the first power. So we're going to continue to simplify the right side by combining 4u and negative 7u, which becomes negative 3u minus 32 equals negative 14. Now from there, if we're solving for the u, we would first get rid of the subtract 32 by adding 32 on both sides. Okay, and that leaves us with an 18. So 18 equals negative 3 times u. And then we would divide by negative 3 on both sides. So u equals negative 6. That would be our solution. That is what will make the equation true. If we take negative 14 equal to 4 times negative 6 minus 8, and then minus 7 times negative 6, that would make a true statement. Okay, let's go ahead and look at one more example, and then I think you will be ready to do your ALEKS assignment. So remember, when you are solving equations, your very first step is to simplify. And then you need to get the two terms that have the same variable. You want to get those two terms on the same side of the equation, and then you are going to solve. Okay? So on question 19, you can see that we can simplify the left side. The negative 3 needs to be distributed to both of these terms inside the parenthesis. So negative 3 times u is negative 3u. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, equal to 2u minus 5. And then this 2 needs to get distributed to both of these terms. So that becomes plus 10u plus 4. And on the right side, we can still continue to simplify because 2u and positive 10u, those are like terms. And negative 5 and positive 4, those are like terms. So 2u plus 10u is 12u. Let's change this to, so 12u. And a negative 5 and a positive 4 is a negative 1, equal to negative 3u and a negative 6. Now from here, you need to get the two terms that have the same variable to be on the same side. So this is my right side, this is my left side. A couple of different choices you could make here is you could add 3u to both sides, or you could subtract 12u from both sides. I'm going to go ahead and add 3u to both sides, just so I'm left with something that's positive on the right side. Now when I write down what I have left on the left side, I have a negative 6 equal to 15u, and then subtract 1. Okay? From there, we would add 1. So negative 5 equals 15 times u. Divide by 15. So negative 5 15 equals u. And we can simplify that fraction. Sorry, I ran out of room here. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 15 3 times. So u equals negative 1/3. Okay. So I hope that is helpful. Your ALEKS assignment is to do the solving equations with the variable on both sides. There are 20 questions. That is your assignment for today. And then your assignment for Thursday will be solving equations with the variable on both sides, number 2. And I will make you a video and post it on Thursday. Hope you guys have a great day.